Hey everyone, this is Marcel here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is centered around Facebook Timewarp. So what the hell do I mean by that? Well, allow me to give a little context. For a starter, I actually despise Facebook, meaning I really don't like it. When I was young, it was one of the main ways I was able to reach out to people around in my family, friends, and for a while there at least I kind of obsessed over it. I'm sure many of you can relate. A lot of people have already noticed the kind of quirky behaviors of Facebook, like you can't dislike videos or posts or anything, but you're able to angry like them. You're notified when you make a new friend, but you don't get any notifications when you lose them. Everything on that platform is basically forced to be positive. Hell, I bet it's just a matter of time before they stop even dropping the friends count when somebody leaves. There's a reason for all that. There's a reason why Facebook feels almost addictive at times. Tries to kind of suck you in, tries to almost force you to connect with other people. Now, regardless of how many men or women actually have profiles on Facebook, there's no doubting the fact that women get far more attention on the platform than men ever would. At least on average, I think we can all agree on that. They make far more posts, get far more friends and likes and attention. I would not be surprised if their posts were pushed more, though I don't have a solid reason to suspect that. By using Facebook and other platforms similar to it, women are almost able to build a network to achieve instant validation, connect socially with hundreds, even thousands of other women, receiving almost unlimited attention for anything they want to say, and with the flick of a wrist, possibly even destroy a man's life with a single post attacking his character. Here are some of my beliefs as to why this is happening and how Facebook could actually be used as a tool to suit men's purposes as well, almost to the extent of being a double-edged sword. First of all, a note about Facebook, if anyone didn't already know. Despite whatever its origins were, Facebook is a marketing tool. People voluntarily tell it everything that they like, their interests, their family, their friends, locations where they travel and take the most pictures. Presume for a moment that Facebook were actually a huge survey. Well, they certainly couldn't call it that, otherwise people would expect some kind of compensation. But now if you leave it open like a walking journal, they'll give all the information that Facebook could ever want and they'll do it for free. The concepts behind this may have originally come from MySpace, was it? Back when that was a thing? It's gotten mostly into music now, if it even still is used at all. I admit I haven't even been on MySpace in over a decade, so I have no clue what they're doing. Back on topic, the reason why everything through Facebook is positive, other than being a validation generator, which I'll get to here in a minute, is the fact that they're only interested in what people like, not the things that they dislike, because you don't make any money necessarily off of things that people don't like. Couple that with the strictly enforced positive policy that Facebook tries to present, and people are basically ensured that anything that they want to say or post is going to be met with a positive, appreciative kind of response. For the most part, I mean, people can still type what they want, but at the risk of having whatever they say deleted or removed. I have to admit I've never actually tried to delete something off of Facebook that someone's written, though that's generally not my first response when I don't like something that's said. I digress. By keeping it entirely positive, people are encouraged to post as much as possible. It becomes essentially informative fodder. That is, meaning, hypothetically, food that corporations can purchase and then sell back to the general populace, possibly even to the individual that posted it. Have you ever noticed that when you're searching something in Google or you post something on Facebook, all of a sudden you start getting ads related to that topic? That's certainly not a coincidence. These are some of the reasons why I don't like it. But to get on to the meat of this video, how can some of these platforms be useful to MGTOW, to men in general? If anyone didn't already know, one of the first things that a smart business owner or manager will do if they're considering hiring someone is actually to inspect their Facebook. They take the person's name, look it up on Facebook, and see what they've posted. You'd be amazed at how much people are willing to say and do on what is essentially a public platform that anyone can look at. A straight-laced, professional-looking applicant comes into your company, you pull up their Facebook, and they're drug addicts, criminals, or even just generally toxic people. So I'm going to suggest something, but I don't want to hear any bullshit about it being Facebook stalking or anything along that lines, and I'm going to explain why. Of course, feel free to have your opinion. Facebook directly encourages people to pay mind to who can see their posts. right? We've all seen those warnings that pop up the first time you open it. Complaining about someone looking at your pictures on Facebook is about as retarded as someone posting a video on YouTube and then complaining if people watch it or binge watch their videos. It's entirely the purpose of posting something on a public forum. For anyone who's wanting to protect their posts on Facebook or their pictures, for example, there's ways to make them private, or in a sense that only friends or family can see them. But if they don't want anyone to see them, I know this is a little old school, but there's a thing called a photo album. It's pretty awesome. Like, nobody can see your pictures unless you actually want to show them to them. Comes like a neat little real life book and everything. No, but sarcasm aside, when somebody posts a public picture on Facebook, they're doing it because they want attention, so they can't gripe about who gets to see it and who doesn't if they're not going to bother to put the filters on it. Granted, this is one of those situations where if a guy does it, it's creepy and stalking, and if a girl does it, it's perfectly fine. I've had women openly admit that they were Facebook stalking me. Their words, not mine. Of course, it's not hard to tell when they like a picture that was posted 4 or 5 years ago. Having said that, a word of caution. Anyone that we speak to or look at within Facebook is most likely to be recommended as a potential friend or someone that they may know. It's even possible to have their friends recommended to you or be recommended to their friends just because you're speaking with them. Furthermore, friends of friends and friends that look at other friends' posts are also recommended. When I first opened my Facebook under Marcel, I made the mistake of using it occasionally for different purposes, like looking at families' posts or talking to people and stuff. Facebook nearly tried to dox me to everyone I know. I had to completely tear it down and rebuild it from scratch. As I recall, the main thing I had done that likely triggered it was send a picture to myself between 2 accounts. This warning also applies to other creators that are using, for example, their phone to watch their accounts. Google does that crap too. I tried to take a picture when my Marcel account was logged into my phone. Google tried to attach it to an album and make it public. Although I'm not particularly worried about the photos, even the idea of getting doxxed, the fact that it happened infuriated me. Okay, now that we've got all of that out of the way, I suggest that Facebook could be used as something of a time capsule to analyze both the progression of a woman through her aging process, the relationships that she's been through, even as a means of predicting what she'll look like when she's older. This could be useful to a MGTOW simply just for curiosity's purposes, but it's extremely important to understand if a person were to consider being blue pill or dating or interacting with someone on a romantic level. First point that I would like to make, looking at the woman's relationship history. Facebook will track all of that through her timeline. Although it doesn't necessarily acknowledge when somebody breaks up, you can see a vast majority of a woman's relationships based on her photos. Especially when it comes to breakups and how she'll negatively attack the men that she was with. Some of these ladies badmouth their exes to an extreme that would put Taylor Swift to shame. It's interesting to see, but it's also a massive red flag when it comes to anybody considering talking to him. That's exactly what the guy can expect if he were ever to get a breakup with that particular woman. Furthermore, looking at the progression of a woman through her history of her pictures, it's interesting to see how they age over the years, and in as little as a decade they can go from what is a very attractive woman all the way down to someone you wouldn't even recognize. This has happened to a lot of my old friends back from high school. Between kids, divorces, and drama, they age like they don't look anything like I remember them at all. And sometimes in as little as 8 years. Then not to mention the number of single mothers that pop up there. Holy shit, I dodged so many bullets. Women that I either hit on or even dated that have just gotten thrashed by Father Time, thinking that could have been me, stuck with her. Ugh. Bringing it back though, an interesting way to predict what a woman might look like in 10 years. And the reason why I say 10 years is women are aging and maturing a lot faster than they used to. People don't take care of themselves nowadays, and the stress of raising a child, for example, and working several jobs, women don't handle stress well. They don't handle it anywhere near like a man could anyway. Coupled with the bad food that people eat, if you look at the woman's mother, I would bet that that is what the woman is going to look like in 10 years, based on the laws of genetics. And I would suggest this to anybody that's infatuated or considering going blue pill. Picture if the woman looked like her mom would the guy still be interested? That's the thing, most of these guys that are so hung up on women, it's all hormones. The guy doesn't actually want to start a stable relationship, he's just trying to get laid. He's just trying to have some fun or even feel a little compassion from the opposite sex. He doesn't want to get tied down in a family and have a bunch of kids with this person. Doesn't mean he wouldn't be a good dad, it just means that's not his intent and he gets trapped. I know it's a little cringy to think of, but when it comes to romance and the guy being interested in the woman, if he would not stay with her, if it were the same person but looked like her mother, odds are it's his little brain that's doing the thinking. Any kind of serious relationship should be avoided at all costs. Of course, you guys know me, I would say avoid it regardless, but nonetheless. So to tie this all in, what am I suggesting here? I am saying that you can see the progression in the aging of a person, the path of their life, at least in some cases, based upon the pictures that they post, especially if tagged, because you can't edit those pictures in the same way that you can one that you post yourself. Furthermore, by looking at a person's parents and their family, friends, you can get a good judge of their character and their behaviors, as well as in many cases taking a glimpse into what their future is going to be. Relationships of the mother are frequently the behaviors you can expect out of the child, especially considering that they're both women. Their odds are carbon copies of each other. It's at least normally how it plays out from what I have seen. Feel free to disagree. Finally, there's ways to trigger red flags if they exist through Facebook and various other communication platforms if you know what to look for. I'll give an example. If a person is active and they wait more than a minute or two to reply to a message, they're either talking to several other people, which is probably the most likely cause, or they're not paying any significant attention to the conversation itself, and either way it's a red flag. If a guy were to meet a woman he was interested in dating and tried to friend request her on Facebook and she didn't allow it, and this is a woman who is actually cool with the idea or is already dating the guy, that's a red flag. What is she hiding? Or perhaps she doesn't trust him to that extent yet, which is also in of itself a red flag. It implies previous existing problems with other guys, and that in of itself. It points towards behavioral patterns that can cause difficulties. I could go into more depth, more ideas, but I think I'm done with this topic for today. Let me know what you think down below. Is all of this old news? Back when I was blue-pilled, I didn't even bother to look at women's social media before I dated them. It only came up later on as if it were part of the relationship if there was a desire to do so. Like if she was pushing me to post something. Something of an afterthought. Sure, I would still notice the red flags, but like 10 dates down the road or several months later. Anyway, a couple of cool changes I'm going to make to this channel. Firstly, I'm putting up exclusive content on Patreon now. I'm not trying to bait anyone to go on there and support me. There's a specific reason outside of any money a person would ever send me why I'm putting it there. It has to do with who's seeing the videos, and I'm not going to go any further into it than that. What I will do though is I'll start doing a shout out to my top 5 supporters on Patreon at the end of every video. Either way, all of you make this possible, so you're awesome. In the meantime, like, share, subscribe if you want to hear more. This has been Marcel.